I'm Ali. Welcome to Little Hill Homestead. What are we doing today? Let's see. I have a canning pot going, and my canning supply's out, so I figured today I'm going to can pineapple. There it is. So typically pineapple goes on sale like twice a year to where it's a good enough price for you to buy a bunch of it and can it up so that you have it for your long-term storage. So guess what time it was? Pineapple went to like $1. Gosh, I can't remember. It was $1.49, $1.79, $1.29. It was under $2 a pineapple. And that means it's time to do our canning for the year. I got 5 because that's the max that they would let me buy. Each pineapple typically will do 2 pint jars. So I have 9 pint jars because that's what's going to fit in my canner. If I have more than that, I'm going to eat it for dinner tonight because I don't want to run 2 rounds through my canner today, to be honest. But I'm also going to show you guys really quick what we do with the peels and the cores because I'm going to repurpose those because, you know, we like to use everything we can. So let's get started. So I have on the stove behind me, I use my pressure canner to water bath can. Water bath canning just means that it's a higher acid food or something that can handle not being pressure canned, which pineapple is acidic. So we're going to water bath can it. But I use my pressure canner because I can just not twist the lid on and you can just boil in it. You can also use just a regular old pot like this one. As long as it covers your jars and goes 1 inch above, you can use whatever you guys want. I've seen people use roasting pans like the electric roasters to do water bath canning. I use my pressure canner because I have it. And yes, eventually I'll show you pressure canning too because I know it terrifies people. It's really not that hard. I was one of those people a couple years ago and now I do it all the time. So the other thing I've got going is I have a large pot of water going. This is going to be the water that we're going to put over our pineapple. So the method we're using is called cold pack pineapple, but you put hot liquid over it. So we're making a simple syrup. Up to you. So what I have here, I'm going to turn it off because it's hot enough. I have 12 cups of water. And to that, you can either just do hot water because pineapple is really sweet on its own, or you can make a simple syrup, and that's what I did. So I have 12 cups of water and I have 3 cups of sugar. So basically, do the math. You can do a little bit less than that if you are worried about it. We like it to be on the sweet side because what we typically do is drink the pineapple juice while we're waiting for dinner to cook, and we'll mix it with a little bit of ginger ale, and it makes like this little mocktail that we like. So there you go. That's what we've got going on. So bringing that to a boil, as soon as it starts to boil, cut it, and it'll just chill, not getting cold. It's just staying on my burner because I have electric, so it'll stay warm. So we're going to leave that there until we're ready for it. But I have sterilized my jars. I usually sterilize them in the dishwasher. There's a sterilize function that you can use, and it gets them really hot, so I use that. I have rings, which I just reuse rings over and over. And then I have, these are Golden Harvest lids. You can use whatever. If you didn't know, Ball canning jars that everybody loves, they make lids, which are great. But Ball also owns not Ball, but Jarden, which is who owns Ball. They make basically all the lids. So they're pretty much darn the same. Walmart clearanced out Golden Harvest and not going to carry it anymore. And so I grabbed these when they were like $1.50, which to me is a pretty good deal. So there you go. So the biggest dread that I used to have about canning pineapple was cutting it all up because these aren't easy. Like, come on. But one of our friends told us about a pineapple tool. We've been using this thing for years now, and I'll link it below or one like it. These things will change your life if you are a pineapple fan. So I'm going to show you how to use that. Like I said, I'll link it below. I washed all my pineapples on the outside really well. If you want to do a little bit of a vinegar soak on them, because that's up to you. We're going to use the peels. That's why I did it. So first step is going to be, these are really ripe. I'm super excited. I'm going to cut the tops off. If you want to plant these and grow a pineapple tree, by all means, go for it. I cut the tops off and I throw them in the trash. So I'm going to get our tops cut off. Like I said, you want to plant them. I'm not going to grow a pineapple tree. So where I live, that's not a thing. So in the trash they go. I know I can compost. We don't have our compost bin going. To be honest, We tried composting, but it stinks really bad, and the dogs like to dig through it. It's a whole thing. So we usually have like a little compost pile going, but it's mostly just like what we pull from the garden and stuff, not actual food scraps. Rant over. Okay, so I'm going to take my pineapple. Now, if you don't have this nifty pineapple tool, you would just skin the outside of this off, cut it in half, remove the core, the center, because it's hard and you don't want to eat it, and then cube it up. If you have one of these little nifty guys, you basically, it has a hole down the middle of it and it's got these jagged teeth on it. You line it up with the core, and then you start spinning this little handle. You basically make sure it's kind of lining up, like not going in at quite an angle, and you just spin. You don't have to give it too much pressure. Once it gets going, it'll get all the way to the bottom. Of your pineapple. It's hard to judge where it is, to be honest. Sometimes I go through, which I'm trying not to do because I don't want the juice get lost. All right, and then you pull up. Is that not the coolest? I mean, come on. And my pineapple is completely hollowed out. Like I said, we're going to save that and use it though. So what I do, this has like little buttons on it. The top comes off. Can you see me? Am I blocking you because of a pineapple? Tip it over, and then your rings, these are now just pineapple rings. You could leave it like this if you want pineapple rings. It comes with, it looks like an apple slicer. I don't use this usually. I mean, let's see, does it work? No, I feel like it's gonna, maybe that's backwards. Yeah, I don't use this thing. I just pulled it out to show you it comes with it. What I do is I take my knife and I cut it in 6. That gives us decently large sized pineapple chunks. The only thing about using this thing is the pineapple is thin. So if you want more like big pineapple chunks like you're used to getting, then I would cube it up and do it that way. But I like it this way, and it doesn't take too much time. I have my jar, what are these called? Filler thing on one of my jars. Like I said, these are clean. I'm just going to cold pack. So you're just going to take your pineapple and you're going to drop it in the jar. You need some headspace at the top. It just means there's room for air at the top of your jar, but you're going to push these in pretty good because they are going to shrink up. Okay, I was saying that each pineapple makes 2 jars. Let's see how close I am, because it doesn't look like that quite made 2. Now this one's a little, okay, like I was saying, you want to kind of push them down a little bit with your fingers so that you have it nice and compacted in there. So there's 1 done. We got 1.5, but that was maybe just a smaller pineapple. I don't know. So here goes number 2. Like I said, you just pop this thing back on, line it back up. I can hear my water bath canner warming up. Like I said, I just don't hook the lid on it. So with pressure canners, if you spin the lid, that's how you make it build pressure. I just don't do that. It's just sitting on there. Okay. I want to see if, like, we love this thing so much, and I'm thinking maybe we get one of those watermelon ones that you see people use. And I'm like, come on, nobody's actually going to use that. But we have actually a really easy way to do watermelon too. I'll show you, but it's just cutting, no tool. All right, sometimes it'll get like an air suction. If it does, you kind of just wiggle it and you can hear it. It's hissing at me. Okay, there we go. But look at all the juice you guys get too. How cool is that, right? I didn't actually do that with this one. Might as well dump the juice in there, right? Again, you just take the little top, spin it, pop your pineapple down the tube and cut it in 6. You can leave it bigger if you guys want. I like bite size. Okay, pop it in your jar. Pretty easy. Pineapple is one of those things that, like, if you want a basic thing to start canning, pineapple is one, and jelly, like jams and jellies. Those are pretty darn easy, actually. I wouldn't jump, if you want to try something, I wouldn't jump right into pressure canning first. I would do something you can water bath can. You can technically water bath can everything. Some countries don't even have pressure canners. But that's a rebel canner move to say that, so. Which just means that sometimes I don't follow the guidelines that the United States have, but you do you. All right, how many of these are we gonna do? I'm gonna do all of them, but how many you want to stay for? Let's see. Or 10 minutes. That gives you a gist of what we're gonna do. I'll show you what my next move is on a couple of these. Hold on. Oh. All right. The suction power of these guys is real, bro. There we go. Again, dump that juice out. Might as well, right? But I am going to use those. That's why I'm setting them to the side. So, how fast is that? It takes no time at all to use this little pineapple tool. Like I said, we use them. We use it every time we do a pineapple. I don't have to try to cut around the sides. Do we lose a little bit? Yeah, but I'm going to use all my pineapple anyways. What I'm going to do is boil down the cores and skins and make pineapple juice. And the pineapple core and skins are awesome because they carry vitamins A, B, and C in high quantities. They've got a lot of manganese, potassium. There's something in them called bromelain, and not bromine, not for your hot tub. And that it's one of those nutrients that you kind of don't hear about all that often, but it's supposed to be, or it is, super good for your heart. It's got a ton of anti-inflammatory properties. It helps with joint pain. It's great for kidney function. It helps with blood clotting. So why throw them away when you have something perfectly good that you can make something out of? All right, we're almost down to the bottom. So to us, it's Tuesday, and we're near Atlanta. We have a really bad storm that's getting ready to come in today. So I'm hoping we don't have tornadoes. We had a tornado rip through, oh gosh, how many years ago was it? 3 or 4 years ago, not too far from us, that just decimated part of the main town near our old town. And I, at the time, thought my husband was kind of crazy because it was like midnight, and I had just gone to bed. So you know when you fall asleep and it's really hard to wake up? He comes running in there and is like, get in the hallway. We don't have a storm shelter because we just live in a neighborhood and we don't have a basement or anything like that. So his best friend was in town because it was March Madness. And so we're all standing in the hallway, and he kind of apologized. Like, I mean, it was windy and it was raining a lot, but for us it was, scary, but nothing major. And he was like, man, I'm so sorry I made you guys get up. That it was nothing after all. Then we found out that it had destroyed part of the local high school, and the town was gone, and we know people that lost their houses. So, we're always on alert. We're weather aware out here in the South, and growing up somewhere with earthquakes, it's funny because you're like, tornadoes, like, okay, whatever. But they're serious, guys. Okay, this is our last pineapple. I'm going to show you the next step. I know that I need to get a camera so I can do editing and put these together so they're not quite so long, but here we are doing what we do. So anyway, so I'm getting ready for some weather stuff to come through, and I thought, I'm going to can this pineapple. I got to get it done. But I'm also going to film our Frugal Friday, I think, today because, this one's uber juicy. Let's pour a little of that out. Oh, it didn't pour anywhere near my jar. That's cool. All right, so there's all of our pineapples cored and done. Boom. This one got a little bit of the brown dots on top. I'm just going to kind of take that aside and have it as a snack. They don't break down very well when you're canning. They'll still stay hard. So I should have looked and seen how much a jar of canned pineapple is right now. Because that's one thing. When you start canning pineapple, you'll realize, one, the taste is so much better. It's a lot sweeter than even Dole or some of the brand names that you can get. Slide these to the side. A lot cheaper, and so, I mean, yeah, the flavor is not comparable. It is so much better than canned pineapple. So once you do this, you're gonna be like, the water bath canner is ready. You see it steaming back there? Awesome. I can show you guys the whole process, which is what we wanted to do. All I keep doing is filling the pineapple in the jars, pushing it down with my fingers. You want to pack it in there tightly so you have a lot of product in there, basically. But we're going to get 8 jars, it looks like. I'm going to take this one that had the little brown on it, just trim it up. Pop it in my jar. All right, looks like we got 8 jars. That's not too bad. I'm going to evenly distribute. Some of them have a little bit more than this last little sucker because they didn't quite. I was hoping for 9 or 10. I wanted 9 because that's what will fit in my canner, but we're going to end up with 8. I'm okay with that. 8 jars will last us a couple months. So, okay, let me rinse my hands off. I'm covered in pineapple juice. All right. I'm also going to turn this down just to kind of medium and let it do its thing. So I'm getting a clean cloth. Let me slide this out of the way. Woo. All right, getting all my jars where you can see them. Put my extra to the side. So I'm going to take my little doodad. This is from Walmart. They have fancier ones. You don't need that. Just any way you can get it in there clean, that's what you're looking for. Okay, we have our simple syrup. I have just a plastic ladle. I like to use plastic for canning. I feel like the metal sometimes adds, I don't know, you're not supposed to do a lot of acidic-y stuff when you're canning. Not acidic-y, metallic. It adds a flavor, so I use this plastic one. So I'm going to add the liquid to where you have the 1-inch headspace. What I do basically is fill it just to where the rings, the grooves for the rings start to go. And pineapple has a lot of air in it. It has a lot of gaps. So give it a second to kind of fill in all those spots, because when you're canning, air is bad. You don't want air in your stuff. That's what causes issues. We're just going to go down the line here. Fill all these up. And don't worry, I'm going to go back and wipe the lids before I put our lids on. I'm going to wipe the jars so that you can spill a little bit. You know, it's part of it. I'm more careful if I'm doing something like greasy that has meat in it, or meat canning, because the grease makes it so that the little waxy lids don't like to stick so much. So that one I'm a little more careful. Now, I will say when I am canning, I always like to make extra water, because I feel like if you run out in the middle of canning, it's like horrible. And you have to wait for it to reboil and all that stuff. I like to just jam through and get this going. Alrighty. Put that to the side. So the way I like to do this is I kind of tap them on the counter. That's going to get any of that air out. And then this is just a clean rag. You can use paper towel, whatever you want. Some people put a little dish of vinegar. I don't feel like I need that with pineapple. You just wipe the rim. So it's nice and clean. When you tap it, you'll see some of the bubbles come to the top. And that's pineapple stuck to the top. That's not good. And I'll be doing more canning stuff as the garden is in full effect. I planted a ton to have a huge garden this year, and then, to be honest, had other things going on in my life, so I kind of neglected it. So I'm hoping we still get enough to do some canning this summer. Biggest thing we love to can are tomato products, because they're just better than the grocery store. But I have a ton of empty jars because we ate so much of our canned fruit from last year that we need to get some going. Okay, like I said, these are just I don't boil mine. They changed over the years. You used to have to boil these. You don't need to anymore. the heat when we water bath them will melt that wax right on there. So no need for that. If you are one that wants to do that, you totally can. I was for years. And I thought, oh, I'm going to try not to. And no need. You don't need to anymore. They've changed it, probably because there's literally like no wax, because like everything else, they're trying to save money. And they stopped putting as much wax on them. So, okay. So we're doing fingertip tight on our lids. All that means is I'm spinning it to where it stops spinning, and then one little gentle tug. That's it. You want the air to be able to escape while you're canning. I didn't realize these buttons are sitting right here. Hello. Okay, so we're at how long? 20 minutes, you guys, and we have our 10 jars of stuff. And they're actually going to go in the water bath canner right now because we're ready for it. So I'm going to move this out of my way just so I have some wiggle room. You guys know I have a 1930s stove. It's actually a canning stove. That's why the burners are so far apart, because these pots are big, and you have room to work them on this thing. That's why it's called the canning stove. What I'm going to do, be very careful when you're taking your lid off. Like I said, this is not pressurized. I don't have it on. I'm just going to lift up. When I do, I like to vent the steam away from my face, basically. And then I set that to the side. I have my jar lifters. And then these are like those drying mats. When they aren't so pretty anymore, or I accidentally cut this one with a knife, I save them for canning because they're kind of like perfect to set your hot cans on. I just set that to the side so that when it's done, they're ready and they have a place to go. So all we're going to do is I have my water boiling. I'm just going to set these in the boiling water. Like I said, my pot will fit 9. When I'm pressure canning, I can double it up because I have a second rack, but for water bath canning, we don't do that. And what you want the water to be at least 1 inch. I'm going to turn my heat back up now that I'm putting cold stuff in. You want 1 inch over your jar tops. So the water needs to be covering completely so that they're fully submerged. Some people just say you don't have to do that. You'll learn with canning, there's like a million right ways and a million wrong ways. Everybody has their own opinion on it. So you do what you want to do. That's what I say about that. So I'm going to put those in there. And what I'm going to do is keep an eye on them. As soon as it starts boiling, like nice, gentle boil. You don't want it to overboil. You set a timer for 15 minutes. And then at the end of 15 minutes, all you're going to do is take your jars out with the same lifter, set them to the side, and then let them sit for 24 hours. And you'll hear like pings, and that's how you know that they're nice and airtight and doing their thing. So, y'all, I'm a little bit ticked right now because I just filmed a whole thing on how we make our pineapple juice, and my microphone was dead. So you couldn't hear anything. Anyways, our, what is this called? Canned pineapple is boiling away. Let me show you what we did with our cores and our skins and all the leftovers we had. So what I did is we have a blend type blender. I put a little bit of water in there, and then I tore up the big pieces. I cut it into like, I don't know, 6x6 squares or something like that. And I cut the cores up into kind of chunks, small enough to fit in your blender where it could blend it up. So I did that. Blend it up until it's like you don't want it super thin, but you want it to be kind of this consistency once it's done. Let me show you. See how it's got like the chunks in it? There's still some big pieces, but that's what we were aiming for with the blender. Our 5 pineapples made enough to do 2 huge pots of our pineapple juice. I used a little bit of leftover simple syrup because why waste it? So that's in there, and then I just filled the top with water. That's our pineapple juice that I have going. What I'm going to let that do is as soon as it comes to a boil, I cook that for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to strain it off through a cheesecloth first, and then through like a finer, I have what they call a nut bag, or like for oat milk. I'm going to strain it through that to really get it good and strained. You can also double up cheesecloth if you prefer to do it that way. But I'm so annoyed. I hate when I film for you guys and then it's just me. And there's nothing, which might be better than this rant. Anyways, a few more minutes on our, Alexa, how much more time do we have on our timer? She didn't listen to me, ever. Alexa, how much time do we have on our timer? 10 more minutes to go on our canned pineapple. Then I'll bring you back. We're back. It's officially been 15 minutes. Our pineapple is done. Let's pull it. Ready for this? Let's do it. I moved my thing over here because I have my pineapple juice going over here, and it's just getting to be a little bit of a cluttered mess. And I made sure my mic was on. So we're rocking and rolling. Like I said, be careful when you take the lid off. Well, let me turn it off first. You can turn it off and let it cool down for a few minutes. I just say go for it. Let's do it, right? So I, again, take the lid and I pull it away from myself so I don't burn my face. I burn my arms before doing this, so just be careful. That's all. It's just scalding hot water, you know. My jar lifters. Okay, let's do a little jar lifting edumacation. You ready? You hold it by the end with the little things. I've seen people do whole videos on YouTube claiming to be canners and they're holding it backwards. That's a good indicator that you're not. So hold it correctly. So you hold it by the handle, the rubber grippy, whatever silicone-ness, that's what's gonna grip onto your jar. So carefully lift them out. I give them a little bit of a tip to get the water off the top. And then I set them straight onto my rack over here. You'll hear them hiss a little bit. That's not unnormal. The air is going to continue to try to escape and do its thing, and they're going to be boiling. So I don't know if you can see it, but the water in it is still boiling. All right, they all survived, which is awesome. I've had dilly beans. I made an entire batch of dilly beans, and they all shattered while I was canning them. So there's our finished pineapple. Let me take you closer so you can see it. My life needs to get together today. Am I filming even at this point? I don't even know today, you guys. It's been one of those days, apparently. I don't know. Here's our canned pineapple. Oh, get your thumb out of the way, lady. It's bubbling, and it's beautiful. Aren't they pretty? Look at all that beautiful pineapple. Like I said, the juice that's in there is pineapple juice at this point. So go ahead and make yourself a drink with it or mix it into a recipe. Don't throw it away, though, because it's like gold. It's delicious. And our pineapple juice is still going over here. My God, where am I holding this from? I'm going to stop trying, you guys, because if I keep trying, I'm just going to screw up more. Is my mic on? It's on. Anyways, that's it. You have now, how many did we end up? 8 cans of pineapple. I should have looked up how much a can of Dole is because I want to say it's probably $3 a can versus what we spent here, which is I spent $1 something each pineapple. Each pineapple made almost 2 jars. So it's like 75 cents. Less than $1 a jar. Savings, and it tastes better. Anyways, thank you for watching this disastrous video. You know, when it's one of those days where you're like, I probably shouldn't film. I'm just not, it's just going to be what it's going to be. Well, I should have listened, but I didn't. Anyways, ooh, let me show you guys something. So we're working on this little project. I can't tell you what it is, but it's something. And so some of you guys know I have, oh my God, there's my hand again. I have an art degree. My major is actually ceramics, so I don't do a lot of painting, but aren't these pretty? I decided to do, it's actually like pieces of wood, and I have stained it and sanded it, and then it's got mountains. And then last night I did a sunset one. It's the beach at sunset, and it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my little paintings. So maybe one of these days I'll actually get out a canvas and do some painting. I do have a lot of paintings around my house that I made. I just don't do it very often because, I don't know, I'm my own worst critic, and I think I'm terrible at painting. But anyways, thank you for watching this like 4-hour video on how to can pineapple. At this point, it would probably be cheaper for you to buy canned because it took you 12 hours to make a can of pineapple. No, I'm just kidding. Make your canned pineapple. Go and make some and watch for the next time it goes on sale. It's totally worth making. Thanks for watching. Bye.